Welcome to Ken's Corner Podcast, Season 4.
Hi, everyone. This is Ken Judge, and I'm back here on Sports Timeout, Ken's Corner Podcast. And I'm with my co-host, Joe Moyer. Joe, thank you for joining me again. We got a very special guest for our first show back for our local content. We have the Assistant General Manager of the Stouffville Spirit Junior A hockey team right here in our town of Stouffville. Joe, first off, how are you?
I'm doing great. Doing great. Ken, springs around the corner, and sad to see the Spirit season end. But man, what a great season it was. I can't be even more proud, and I'm sure the organization feels the same way with how far the Spirit came and gave it their all. That's for sure. They gave Trenton all they could handle.
You got that right. Thayne, this is your first question that I'm going to direct towards you. And by the way, thank you for joining me here today. Thayne, your expectations when you came into the 24-25 season, we all know how well it went. And like Joe said, we wish we could have got a win with that 3 seconds to go in that second overtime in game four there would have tied the series, but that's a different story altogether. I get what you're saying. Your expectations walking into the start of the season, was it as high as what you had, what you went, or what was it exactly?
Yeah, actually it was pretty much exactly this. Like we really thought we had a top four team. And that verified. I didn't expect, Halliburton to load up half of an OHL team and things of that nature. But we knew Trenton was gonna be good, we knew JRC was gonna be good. And then we kind of thought we'd be right in that next group of 3 to 6. And we kind of finished fourth, which is what we were thinking of. And of course, when you finish fourth, you should get through the first round, which we did. So, yeah, kind of what we thought. As far as the quality of team, I think the team was better than we thought.
Mhm.
We knew we had a group of hardworking kids. I knew that Riley Pope would be really good this year. 33 goals good, or 32 goals there was good. I don't think anyone thought that. And I think Riley's going to get a league award here to represent that in the next week or so. But,
Cool.
um, you know, a couple of those things kind of transpired. We thought that we had some really good UA team players like Josh Bonneman and Griffin Boyle and Max Marin and Ivan Metikov and, you know, Davo and guys like that coming in that were going to be contributors right away, which they were. But again, Josh blossomed into one of our best 200-foot forwards. And you don't ever expect that of a 17-year-old. And Davidson, he didn't leave the ice. So again, they kind of peaked expectations. But yeah, kind of right where we were hoping. We really were. This year was, like if you get, like Kenny says to me all the time, he goes, "You get to the first round, you never know what'll happen. There's injuries, you get a heater, sometimes your goalie gets hot." And we kind of just had that mentality. You get to the first round, see what happens. And unfortunately, I think we actually the hockey gods did us wrong on this one. The first four games, I thought we were the better team in all four of them, but only counts points at the end of the day and not how good you played. So here we are. But yeah, as far as like the season goes, I think we kind of thought going into it this is where we would have been. But some of the kids definitely did better than thought, and kudos to them for sure.
Joe, go ahead. Do you have a question?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the one thing that stood out to me was the balanced scoring. The scoring was spread around every game. You guys weren't relying on one player to carry it. What do you credit that? Is that the player's talent, or was it the system put in place from the team? Because I mean, every game it was different guys stepping up at different times. It was really, really good to see.
Yeah, I think like we didn't have any stud superstar. Like I think Julian D'Amelio was probably our guy. Obviously went represented our team at Canada East in the World Junior A Challenge, and played OHL games as a forward on our team, and he was really good. But Julian's not necessarily a scorer, right? He's a 200-foot,
Mm.
pull the rope the hardest and come with them kind of guy that gets heavy on the forecheck. So we knew, like, as a team, every time you go into the season, you want to score 200 goals. You score 200 goals in a season, you should be right in the top end of things, right? Scoring wise. It's always score 200 goals, give up less than 135. That's how we kind of approach things. So
Okay.
at the start of the year, we go, all right, what do we have and what are they going to score? And like, do we have enough to get to 200? And we looked at our roster and we're like, it's a lot of guys getting 20. So
Yeah.
yeah, that was kind of the plan is, a lot of guys getting 20, 15, 20 goals. And the one guy that we thought was going to be our sniper was Breckles, and that did turn out to be the case. I think, um, he was banged up without getting, he
Mm.
played a lot of games, but he played some games really banged up. He really fought through some stuff. I think, 30 goals should have been easy for him if he was kind of fully healthy. So, next year we kind of expect that and then more out of him. But yeah, I think that's kind of what we figured. Lots of 15 to 20 goal scorers, and you get to 200 that way.
Yeah. Let's talk about some of your players that are moving on
Yeah.
and how do you go about replacing them? And you got some important players, including your captain, I believe, David Pellia, if I'm
Yeah.
not wrong, that's moving
No.
on. Can we name the players that are moving on?
Yeah, so our five overagers are goaltender Kyle Downey, defenseman David Pelia, and Jacob Windsor, and then our forwards Riley Pope and Lachlan Wells. If you look at our lineup, they played all the minutes, they did a bunch of the scoring, they played most of the games in net. And then you go, oh no, but it's junior hockey. You want to find the replacements, you look down and then next year they're the same spots. So like it's for us, it's easy. I mean, like Breckles and Tamakos, they're on the first line this year. Boom, they're back on the first line again, and they're going to improve their point totals from last year and take care of most of that. Then your second line, Jacob Martineau had a really good second half. He should be, kind of on pace to do really well with this kind of handling that secondary scoring that we're losing. And then Zach Cortes, a 20-year-old, should be really good. So like you just kind of fill from beneath, and then you have Mason Dramasha and Boyle, guys like that they when they get this year 8, 10 goals, Max Marin 7 goals. I mean, they're going to double those totals, and that's kind of how you build your hockey club. The one thing I do want to touch on though, that this year we had one defenseman come back in David Pally, and we had to recruit or trade for the whole rest of the decor.
Wow.
This year we should have at least four back, which should be a really good starting point on the back end next year. And early on, you win with your defense. The league is crazy, like it's crazy free flowing in September. So when you have a defense core that knows what to do and how to handle things, it's kind of where you start.
So
But you can also expect probably that Brady Smith, Josh Bonneman, Luke, sorry, not Lucas, Julian D'Amelio, and Mason Johnson will be with OHL teams to start, and good chance they're not back or whatever, however it goes. So, it's nine guys there off the hop, and
Mm.
but it's junior hockey, so we're recruiting really hard right now. We've been doing that for 2 months, and the season's over, but we're still going to hockey games. There's OHFs this week for U18, and then there's a big skate Sunday night in Toronto. So
so
we're at
your
all
work
this
has
stuff,
just
and we're having
begun.
meetings. So that's how it goes.
Your work has just begun, is what you're trying to tell us.
Yeah, like this is the heaviest point for building next year's team, and then you kind of see what's coming in. We have a rookie camp at the end of April, 1st of May. Then we got 3 weeks there to figure out what we have, what we need, and then trading opens up on June 1st, and that's how you kind of fill it out. So the only time you really get a decent bit of time off is July.
Mhm. Go
And
ahead,
then
Joe.
August 15th, you're back on the ice. So it doesn't
You get a
doesn't
little bit
last
of
long.
cottage time and then you're back in the rinks. Eh? Yeah, for sure.
Exactly.
You may have already answered this question, and without giving away any trade secrets, is
Yeah.
you got to replace obviously some really amazing players and find the talent. But is there one area for next year that you guys are looking to say we got to get better at
Yeah.
such and such?
Yeah, you'll notice in our recruiting, we're going to try and get a lot bigger on the walls. Um,
Okay.
I think a lot of the game is one on the wall, and D zone and O zone. We want guys that can win battles in the D zone, get pucks out, get going north, and then again, get in on the forecheck, ping guys, win puck battles, and get pucks to the net. So, like you're gonna see in our recruiting, there's gonna be some big lads on the walls, and um, the other spot we really want to not so much improve, but if we have zero goaltenders returning next year, which is a good possibility,
Mhm.
we're working really hard to try to figure that out too.
That's awesome. You know what? I feel that we're going to have another great season here for the Stouffville Spirit. I'm already looking forward to it, and in my part of the coverage. Actually, you have a few announcements. Well, I guess it's already been announced already. But
Yeah.
let's talk about the awards that have been given out to your management team and your coaching, your head coach, actually, TJ Hill.
Yeah, I mean, we got to start a little bit. A week ago, David Palia won the Humanitarian of the Year for the OJHL. And David, uh, you don't get a better captain than him. Like he's a community guy. He was involved in everything. He took initiative, like I think he adopted two minor hockey teams and was like an honorary cap or players coach or practice coach. Like he was involved in everything. On top of that, he played 28 to 30 minutes for us every night. I don't know if he missed a game this year, like to
Oh,
injury. He was just an absolute horse. And you know, in the room, like our culture really, started changing, and we really we're really focused on changing the culture a couple years ago. Um, and that was when David was a rookie and Odaro Iweri was the captain. And I think he really picked up a lot was what Odaro was putting down. And followed his footsteps, and I think leveled up again the captaincy role and what's required. This team had no cliques. Like everybody got along with everybody, and that's so rare in a dressing room. And it was phenomenal. And it was again, I think it was built off last year and the year before. So excited for next year and the legacy that David's going to leave. As far as our management, I guess Kenny won Executive of the Year a couple days ago, which is fantastic. It's always great when Kenny gets awarded. He works so hard at this. Like it's kind of twofold for him. He's the GM and the owner, so he's got to like have this internal battle of I want to be really good, but we also have to be financially responsible because I can't spend $1 billion. So like you know doesn't matter what anybody says about anything with owning a junior hockey team, it's a losing proposition for the ownership. So like number one to kind of take that on and handle that is fantastic. And then his work with the league, he's on a really important um, committee right now, which is doing really big things for the league, and something I can't really share, but news will come out, and he's doing a really good job with that. He's leading the charge. Kenny's a guy that most teams people phone for advice or to talk things through. Um, and then obviously the work he does as a leader of our club. So I think it's a really well earned recognition for him. And I think he's won like this before and GM of the year before. So it's just tack another one on the wall for him, I guess. So and then TJ was phenomenal this year. I mean, he's been phenomenal since he's been here, but he's really his attention to detail is like it's so elite as far as a coach goes. We've had lots of coaches here over the years. So I've been here 9 years now. So we've had quite a few. It's junior hockey's tough. People move on, people move up, and then everyone's lives change, and the time ask is a lot. So when things in your life change, you kind of balance out. So with those three reasons, we've had coaches come and go, and TJ's been obviously here since COVID, done a really good job. But like I said, his attention to detail is phenomenal. Like, um, you know, when he gets home from a game, he watches the game over again. Like his video work on the power play and penalty kill, you'll notice. You always want to be like around 115% when you combine your power play and your penalty kill percentage. This year we were 122, last year we were 119. Like he's the heavily coached things we've excelled at year over year. And it's because of his attention to detail. Even in the playoffs, I mean, Trenton has a myriad of face-off plays. Right away, TJ had all the kids understanding the triggers for understanding what playoff play or what face-off plays are coming, and then immediately we were able to get into position, move guys around, and be able to defend those things. Just that's a really high scoring, you know, lots of like what two of the top three scores in the league were on that team. Lots of firepower. OHL guys, Artichuk and Matthews. Brown comes from BCHL in January, and if he would have been here all year, he's probably a top scorer in our league from the back end. And they really didn't get a lot on us to the last game. So, that's kind of a great example of how well he does at, the small things and the details. The other great thing about TJ that I don't think he gets any credit for, a lot of the culture stuff I've been talking about is really on his back. He's done a great job of that, and he makes sure to check in with the kids. He coaches them all very differently. Like he's a teacher by trade, by day, and he understands that people learn differently. And he kind of, he'll ask the kids like, "How do you learn?" And then he'll tailor kind of what he's doing to the individuals that are needed. So yeah, I mean he does everything. He checks all the boxes for a coach, and we're really lucky to have him. And maybe the next level calls before too long, but until then, we're lucky.
Yeah, I got a couple of things to say about all
Yeah.
three of these men. TJ, yeah, he put up with my questions always being the same every game, so I appreciated that for sure. Kenny Burrows, Jeff Merritt called him Kenny's hockey. He said that's Kenny Burrows' team. Make sure
Yeah.
he knows I said that. And as far as David Pellia, he came out to my Ken's Corner live at Boston Pizza, so just a great guy. Too bad he's a Montreal Canadian fan, but there's still time for him to change there. And I told him at the live that he's probably going to get drafted or end up playing for the Toronto Maple Leafs at some time in his life. So,
So it
Joe,
hasn't been released yet, but David will be playing hockey at Laurier next year. So
oh, that's amazing.
yeah.
It's amazing. Joe, do you have another question or anything you'd like to add?
No, the insight is it's amazing. I love this insight. It's the stuff that the people don't really see. It's the behind the scenes stuff. And there's a lot of thought that goes into it. And certainly the team exhibited that by the way they played and the way they battled. So thank you for sharing that. I guess as you go away, it may be tough to do, but is there one thing that stood out, one highlight, the one thing that just just blew you away this season? Are you able to pin it down to kind of anything, Thayne, at all?
Um, I mean, the one game where I thought there was two games. There was one early on, which I thought, all right, like, we were right and we have something here. And that was at the Governor's Showcase when everyone was talking about how good Buffalo was, how hard they worked and all that. And we really put it on them. I think we outshot them like crazy. We beat them 4-1, but it could have been 8. Like we were really good at the showcase, and it was day 2, a day game after a night game. Like, everything was against us. It was in their small rink where they practice, or in the big rink, sorry, not the small rink, and we weren't supposed to be fast. So that was kind of the one thing where I was like, all right, like we're good, and it's gonna, we had a good record at that point, but that was the one thing. But the biggest one was the Milton game at the end of the year. I know they're in the playoffs for like a week and a half at that point, but they played everybody and we mollywopped them.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a fun night when you could start laughing. 5 minutes left in the first period. It's going to be a fun night. Then you can have a good time, and that's one that I'll remember for a while.
Excellent. Thank you.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for your time here today.
Yeah.
I guess we're just going to be ready for when do we come back? It's September. September. Do I have to wait that long, thing?
No, like you're welcome to come to camp, and we can introduce you to some of the new recruits that have signed by that point. After around camp time, they'll be signing intense with us, and give me some of those guys, and then we have the Toronto Elite Prospects Tournament where we'll have a team in June. Come hang out there. And
That
then
sounds
it's only
fun.
like from then on, it's only like 8 weeks until camp
Yeah.
starts in the middle of August. So we can get you through the summer.
Well, that
Goes
sounds like
fast.
a date. I have your number on speed dial, so I'll be
That's
looking
right.
forward to showing up at all these events and bringing my new microphone and my new microphone flash cover. It's going to
That's
be
right.
fun. Thank you so much again.
Thanks, Thayne.
Sorry, my name's Ken Judge, and we're here on Sports Timeout with my co-host Joe Moyer and our special guest, Assistant General Manager of the Stouffville Spirit Junior A hockey team, Thayne Hallyburton, right here on Ken's Corner Podcast. Thank you so much, guys.